how is it going, guys? Malagant here. We're going to be looking into lifesteal in Grim Dawn, in fact, in this video, and I'll try to like explain not only how it exactly works, but at the same time how you can basically, you know, get the most out of lifesteal in Grim Dawn, let's say. But it's very important to know how it works, because like it's easily something that you can accumulate to your character or to your build and then not even realize that like some of your abilities are not even capable of using it. So therefore this might be a good guide for you. So that being said, lifesteal is going to be presented to you in this game by the name of attack damage converted to health. So this is a hallowed fang. It's a basic component in the game that you can find pretty early on. In fact, you're gonna need to craft it though. That I put on top of a common sword, just a regular sword. So this character is, you know, completely naked. It's an empty build, Ingram tools, you know, a common sword, and then we put on top of that a hallowed fang. So we're going to have 5% attack damage converted to health coming from there. I've also gone ahead and gone into devotions, and I have taken 4% attack damage converted to health from ghoul. So we have right off the bat additive 5% and 4%, which is making 9% lifesteal. So even though it was saying attack damage converted to health, right over here in our character sheet, let's say in the second tab, it's going to be saying lifesteal instead this time. So it's going to be having another name, and there's going to be a resistance going against this, and most of the monsters in the game are going to be having this, especially bosses and celestials. They're going to be having very high resistance against your lifesteal, and this stat, and your character has this stat as well, is called life leech resistance. So I'm not really sure why they at the very least call it life steal resistance. I don't really know, but this time around it's going to be life leech resistance, and it's going to be, you know, going against the life steal that your opponents, or you know, the opponents are doing against this character. So how it works, right? Like how can you make sure that this is basically working for you? So at the end of the day, it comes down to one basic fact: are you attacking with your weapon? So some spells are not capable of using any weapon whatsoever. So right off the bat, you can check Dreeg's Evil Eye right over here in the explanation. You don't see any weapon percentage damage, right? So we are not going to be attacking with our weapon. But when you go into Bloodburst right over here, its modifier, Bloodburst says basically showering nearby enemies with vitriolic gore. So it's a little bit of like lore, but in the explanation or in the tooltip is going to be saying 35% weapon damage is going to be added on this. So this section, this modifier, is going to be capable of including the lifesteal that you had, even though this is not going to be taking it. So thanks to Bloodburst, now we're capable of, you know, using the lifesteal that our build has so far. So if it wasn't for the Bloodburst, if I clear this fully and I just like max this out, I am not going to be having any lifesteal at all on the Dreeg's Evil Eye. This is something that you need to understand. Most of the time the animations are done very, very good in this game. So you don't even need to check the tooltip. You can sort of see in the game that like you're attacking with your weapon, and when you're attacking with your weapon, you're going to be able to actually lifesteal as well. But just to make sure, you can obviously check the tooltip and see that like percentage weapon included into the damage calculations of that ability or the spell or the skill that you're using, and you'll be making sure that like you're going to be life stealing as well thanks to that ability. So if there's no weapon percentage in the tooltip or the calculation, damage calculation of the ability that you're using, then there isn't going to be any life steal for you from that ability, even if you had like 2 hallowed fangs and lots of devotions that are giving you many life steals. There's an exception to this. The exception is having the life steal within the ability. So that's an interesting thing as well. So if it says something like this, look over here, this is Sigil of Consumption and the Occultist. It says 30% of the attack damage converted to health. It is directly, you know, built into the ability itself. So in this case, this 30% is not going to be coming into our explanation right over here or the character sheet, right? There's still 9% over here. That 30% only belongs to the Sigil of Consumption, and it's obviously going to be working at 30%. It's going to be, you know, trying to life steal with Sigil of Consumption's damage at 30% value. So But this is very interesting. Remember this. This is not going to be 39% because sigil of consumption at this point is not utilizing our weapon. So it is still just flat values, 110 vitality damage, 30% attack damage, and then vitality decay damage. So there's no weapon damage in this. So this thing right over here is not going to be working with sigil of consumption. Very simply put, you accumulate attack damage converted to health from this and there. It could be auras, passives, components, obviously weapons, equipment on you, or devotions. All these things are going to be additively adding on top of each other, and you will be able to see how much you have in your lifesteal. Apart from this, to be able to utilize this value, you will need to use an ability or an attack, that is capable of utilizing the weapon. So it needs to have weapon percentage in its calculation, in its damage calculation. It more often, 99% of the time, shows it in the tooltip when you mouse over it. One last thing that we're going to talk about is a little bit more complicated. It actually has proportions also. So what I mean by that is, so in this case, this was 35% weapon damage. In that case, this will go ahead and also use 35% of our, lifesteal. So it would be about like 3% lifesteal in this case. That is kind of interesting, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Does it go the other way around? Yes, it does. So if you end up having an ability that is in fact utilizing 200% of your weapon damage, it's going to be also using 200% of lifesteal too. That is very, very interesting. So you could have like a massive attack with a cooldown that's going to be also just giving you full HP immediately. You could definitely use that. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be seeing you on the next guide. Peace out. And if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask it in the comment section down below, and I'll try to help as much as I can. Peace out, guys.